So just, so just, so just like a little music box and a little ballerina on top of the music box. She's spinning on the ice top on top of the snow globe situation, and she spins and she dances to the music, the little ballerina, and her goal and intention is not to have the mirror situation beneath her give way so that she is gaining traction to dance to the music so that she can cross to the other side in a successful manner. She does so and taps along through the use of the guidance of somebody spinning up the wheel so that she's able to play, then dance to the music that ting, 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 ting dances along to her, and she dances along to it, and those are both reciprocal items, and they need to work together, and the human needs to spin the item so that the dancer is able to dance, and the little music is able to help her to dance and get to the other side of the ice mirror, and that's indicative of the ice rink that I've been talking about the last few days. That's an ice rink that's in the sky. Wow. People are tap dancing across the ice rink that is in the sky. That's a metaphor of the global giving games. The global giving games. Oh yeah. It's like they're all little ballerinas within their little music boxes and such things. But being intentional about it, being understanding about it, being noticing about it, that it's like a thing that is related to entrepreneurship because everyone is an investor, everyone's an entrepreneur because they're always investing their time, investing their mentality, investing their focus, investing their day, investing what they do, investing activities that they do. They are always all entrepreneurs at the same time because they have the ability to be entrepreneurs. And if it's not realized, or if it is realized, it's just like having a you know a little power bar within your inside of your center console in your car, I guess, or somewhere in your house, or like in your desk, for example, and then you can eat it or you cannot eat it, but you know it's there. In essence, that's like entrepreneurship. You know it's there. Yeah, so therefore, that little ballerina is just like entrepreneurship, and it's just sitting in your closet. And you have to activate it sometimes. So that way, rink in the sky, the ice rink in the sky, is indicative of people trying to get to the other side of the road once they realize they're a ballerina, and therefore trying to get to the other side of the item that they're trying to pursue, which is philanthropy. Typically, the nature of the purpose of entrepreneurship is to be able to solve problems, solve problems, solve problems, solve problems. Yeah, so this little ballerina situation is trying to get to the other side of the ring, which is indicative of the journey that she's trying to travel, and all entrepreneurs in the world. Oh, yeah, for sure. So, what else is another example that is like entrepreneurship is wavelength surfing, wavelength surfing, wavelength surfing. So pretend now, instead of a little ballerina, which is a crazy little example and sort of strange, but she's playing on a music box, so it's sort of entertaining. And this is entertainment news, so you gotta start with a little entertainment. And it was a little bit long-winded, so whatever, let's transition to the actual first part, which is supposed to be wavelength surfing. Wavelength surfing, oh yeah, what's different and unique? And by the way, welcome to the news. What's unique and different about wavelength surfing? Is that it's in essence like paradigm shifting at all given times, every single movement on the wave, because when you're wavelength surfing, it's like the realization that you're an entrepreneurship in the first place, and that's why I mentioned that to begin with. Is that the entrepreneurship that's the entrepreneur that's like the power stick, the power food that's inside of the desk, in essence, is like being able to wavelength surf. It's like the acknowledgement that you can wavelength surf. It's like the acknowledgement of the depth of entrepreneurship. It's like the acknowledgement of the nature of how deep entrepreneurship as a whole is in terms of a spiritual finance game, in terms of a game that has to do a lot with spirituality, in for sure type of a way, because it takes away the depth. It actually adds the depth to reality, is what I meant. As opposed to it being in like a two-dimensional world, which is like typically like a two-dimensional world. If you think about the 3D world that we're talking about typically on a typical basis as like a two-dimensional world, then the real realization of entrepreneurship is like making it the three-dimensional version, which has to do with, in essence, adding layers to time, space, and energy by just adding the layer of paradigms, being able to stretch out time and space by understanding, acknowledging paradigms, by acknowledging that the mentality that you can shift into as an entrepreneur, just like being able to acknowledge the interest of having food on your desk, and you can either eat it or not eat it necessarily. You can leave it there to rot. No one ever will eat it, and therefore no will never become a part of you. Oh yeah, it's just like that they're acknowledging the third dimension of entrepreneurship, which is spirituality, spiritual finance, in essence, which is adding depth to existence. In essence, so obviously, if you acknowledge entrepreneurship to begin with, but the layer that is depth is wavelength surfing, wavelength surfing, wavelength surfing. Yeah, it's like existing as a body, like as a surfer on a wave, for example. But every single actual move that you do is like evolution. It's evolution as a person. It's like taking your personal brand and trying to put it out there, like this weirdo podcast situation for sure, and trying to make it so evolution is being documented and recorded, and that therefore adds like a third dimension to existence and living, because every single movement, every single shift in the methodology that changes within the surfer's mindset and the surfer's actions. That is a different paradigm. In essence, it's at least representative of a paradigm that's changing, ever changing. Ever that little surfer is a representation of ever changing, ever reformatting, repurposing chemistry, in essence, repercolating so that it is triangulating towards different paradigms at all given times, and all those paradigms are adding up to evolution. Evolution is like cellular growth. Cellular growth is like actual human beings, actual people, actual, any kind of growth in nature that actually occurs is something that is not linear at all, even though it's not necessarily felt, even though it's not acknowledged. Growth is a matter of changing paradigms at all given times, every single minute of every single day. So therefore, if you're tracking an item that is a person, a human being, which has to do with personal energy, personal philanthropic energy that is within what is resonates, obviously, at the back end of all entrepreneurship, because everyone's always trying to solve problems in entrepreneurship. So when you're acknowledging your personal entrepreneurship self, you become that surfer on the wave. You become a wavelength surfer because you're trying to constantly grow that entrepreneurship person, which is like another person inside of a person. Oh yeah, which is different from just like a silly product that's on the shelf, like Tide, for example, the Clorox situation that has to do with laundry detergent. It does not evolve. It is a brand that's stagnant, for example. But if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in entrepreneurship, this realization allows electricity to be able to give a third dimension to existence and reality, because if you're doing personal brand stuff, then you're therefore adding a third layer to existence, which is personal branding. It's adding philanthropic energy. It's adding philanthropic energy as a means to make a third dimension and layer of existence using spiritual finance and a spiritual finance mentality to begin with. Oh yeah, for sure, because that in essence is taking the elements of realization and the wavelength surfer, because you're surfing wavelengths as you grow. It's recording evolution. Evolution is documentation of cellular changes that occur every day, and within human beings every day there are new atoms that are formed literally every other day. Every single atom within a human being is completely changed. It's reformatted, it's reconfigured, and therefore the paradigms are always changing. And that's the nature, the fundamental nature of growth, and that's the fundamental interest and the interest of documenting change within a human being in his entrepreneurial sense. In the entrepreneurial sense, in the entrepreneurial sense, in the entrepreneurial sense, in the entrepreneurial sense, and that therefore connects all human beings to the global giving games grid that's in the sky, and the ice rink in the sky, because the ice rink in the sky is a metaphor for all a playing field for all people in the world to be able to play the global giving games, and all of the global giving games are the global games of entrepreneurship. But in this instance, we're talking about wavelength surfing and all people becoming like wavelength surfers as entrepreneurs as well, in addition, because that gives them the capability to be able to acknowledge the third dimension of living, which is fundamental evolution and the revolution, the revolving evolution. That is evolution, though that is what compound word in that sense, revolution, which is re-evolving evolution. Oh yeah, because it's happening every single day, all the time, and when you're documenting that process, sort of like this podcast is trying to do, we become anime characters. It's like we're anime characters. We're superhero salespeople. That is the nature of entrepreneur people, is to be able to sales things. Make sales about things. And meaning make sales about things. Just talking to people is also a matter of making sales. We don't actually have to transact monetary energy for it to be a sale, unnecessarily 100%. So this element of a third dimension of existence, which is paradigm shifting, which has to do with wavelength surfing, is similar to going around, like yesterday I mentioned, grabbing different rings like Sonic the Hedgehog. But in this instance, we're talking about being a wavelength surfer, and so you're riding on a surfboard and being able to configure your existence and change different directions of your existence. And you're riding on this board. It's a magic board necessarily, and it allows you to be acknowledging, first of all, the mentality that you have this capability within you, and that changes the paradigms all the time, because every single element of evolution is constantly changing paradigms because you're evolving, then you're shedding cells and atoms every single other day. So therefore, as a result, you're actually making like a new brand, like every single day. Every single day is like a new franchise, a new brand. It's a new brand because you're a new self, you're a new person, in essence, as a whole. So that therefore that new brand is also like a franchise, because that brand can franchise into other little products and such things, like an arrow, and the tip of the arrow is one aspect of it, and the tip of the arrow has to go through and penetrate the market, for example, and the rest of the arrow that follows it are little particles that also have to do with the same tip of the arrow necessarily, but the first tip has to do with something like a podcast, like today, today's the podcast, and every day is like a different franchise, every day is like a different franchise that we're doing, every day the podcast is like a different franchise, because there's different products that are attached to it, which is indicative and symbolic of the arrow. The arrow is like the first piece that permeates and penetrates the essence of not existing. And because once it's released, it's existed. It becomes in existence. Oh, yeah, this release of this little podcast situation is the release of another little piece of it in existence, because it didn't exist before it not exist. Oh, yeah. So, therefore, it's like wavelength surfing. It's like the anime. Everybody's an anime character in the Change4Games Studios world, as well as the actual world, because they are. But it's the animation and the personal branding of that self to be able to realize that anime character, the anime characters of every single individual in the world, because that power exists just like, yeah, inside of all human beings. It's latent, it's electricity, it's colored electricity within all human beings to be that entrepreneur, anime hero, superhero, salesperson self. Superhero salesperson self is an anime character, as an anime character. Oh, yeah. So, exemplifying those powers, exemplifying that persona, exemplifying that situation with that energy that is inside all human beings is a super necessity. It is a necessity. It is a necessity, and I just realized we're recording out of my earphones, and this whole recording is going to sound like it sucks. Damn it, I hate when I use this stupid earphone. That's fine. Hopefully it's understandable. Hopefully everybody understands the words that are coming out of my mouth. In essence, hopefully, yeah, it comes out to be some kind of a podcast that's workable. I don't know, maybe we'll have to do it again. I don't know. Let's leave it here and keep going. So we're talking about wavelength surfing. We're going to be wavelength surfers. Going to be wavelength surfers. Yeah, everyone's a wavelength surfer now. Everyone's a wavelength surfer. Feel good about being empowered as a wavelength surfer and do surfing. Why? Because you're changing the paradigms. And what does that do? Because it's so every single day is like a different product. It's like a different actual product, because every single podcast is like a new podcast. I mean, a new product. It's like a new series. It's like a different podcast, and every single time. That's what I mean by wavelength surfing, because you're documenting evolution. That's the purpose of documenting evolution, is trying to then therefore have different products and be a different person and be a different brand every single day, and therefore be a different franchise every single day, because there's different products that can span and spawn off of a different company every single day. Off of a different company, that's what a different franchise means every single day. A different brand means a different company every single day. It means a different circle. It means a different circular structure. It means a different chemical structure. It means a different cellular structure, and all those things are fall within the circle, and the circle of the brand, that day, and that equals the title of whatever the podcast is that day. Oh, yeah, that's what we're trying to get going. That's what we're trying to focus on, is having more merch and such things that extend from every single podcast every single day. So we also actually like a little animation episode every single day. And yeah, what we're actually trying to make in the Change4Games Studios realm is like little ESPN for the anime characters, in the world. Anime, little, entrepreneurship characters in the world, anime characters in the world, by developing like a platform situation for not only businesses to be able to be, maybe sold, and then commerce to be able to occur within the Dinky Tehc Change4Games Studios realm, but also to have that little ESPN situation for these entrepreneur anime character situations and the energy that is within, so that we're all, in essence, also wavelength surfing. So Dinky Tehc, like the black lab bat, the black lab bat situation, that is his character, and such, that is his anime character, in essence. So, and he also is a wavelength surfer today, because he's also acknowledging that every single podcast that we're trying to do is an evolution and is being recorded, documented as journalism and such things. So we want that journalism to be like AWS journalism, so it can scale into the world like, yeah, Amazon, web services. Anyways, yeah, so what we're talking about is trying to get this wavelength surfing situation to be able to make paradigms and day-to-day franchises to occur, new companies to occur, new brands to occur, so that the energy is able to be vertical as well as horizontal. The expansion is able to be vertical as well as horizontal, and the expansion of the energy is able to be vertical as well as horizontal. Oh, yeah, that's the purpose. Is three-dimensional, acknowledging the nature of different paradigms, and how the spiritual finance is depth. It creates depth within the understanding of this, the nature of this spiritual finance concept is about creating all dimensions of new energy and new formats so that philanthropic energy can be the result. Philanthropic energy because the more entrepreneurship, the more philanthropic energy because all of entrepreneurship is pointing towards the back end of philanthropic energy is at the back end of all entrepreneurship because that is the purpose of entrepreneurship, is to be able to solve problems. And that is what philanthropic energy is all made of. It's all made of. It's all made of. It's helping people and giving to people and making games out of that. So we've all got games. We've got games. We're playing games. Yeah, let's keep continuing to play these games together. 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 Yeah. These anime characters are trying to evolve. The illustration of the paradigms, these fluid shifting processes, the cellular reconfigurement. It's all games. The EDM and punk sounds are theme songs for the anime episodes at the end of each time, at the beginning of each time, but it's like a new product. So we're just trying to evolve the nature of business as a whole into philanthropic energy-giving games, and then also creating new paradigms on a day-to-day basis so that every day we're making new products and new brands and new franchises all at the same time and trying to widen and spread that philanthropic energy as well, aka also known as spiritual finance energy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yes. Thanks again, Dinky Tehc. Peace. Oh yeah, and it's also like the Harry Potter movies where the newspapers, because the news, we're talking about the news all the time. And the news, yeah, it's like the newspapers in Harry Potter where the information is able to shift on the time of the page of the newspapers is able to shift, and that therefore is changing the configurement in the essence of the whole construct of the whole process as a whole. And that's what the first picture on the Dinky Tehc Instagram was about. Is it shows the diagram, but then all like the Harry Potter combined with that, in essence, like Change4Games Studios. Yeah, that magic world, yeah, it's just like Harry Potter and the wizard world in essence, which means that the configurement of that first drawing on that Instagram post, which shows demand connecting to supply, starting demand and then spurting out and then shooting over and connecting to supply, all those supply and demand chemicals and chemistries on both sides, the demand side and the supply side. The chemistry can shift just like the newspapers inside of the Harry Potter world. It's configuring and reconfiguring energy, reconfigurement, that's spiritual finance. Alright, thanks again. Dinky Tehc, bye. Peace, bye.